Hello everybody! We're live! I've never done this before, so bear with me. But my name is Mary Tully. I am the owner of Tully's Training, and I'm going to be starting a weekly show in collaboration with Kittleson and probably some other trainers that work with our awesome company. And there we go. And we're going to be talking about dog training. So I hope you enjoy the stuff that we come up with. If there's anything that you ever want to talk about, any questions that you have, please feel free to send us a message or an email, and we'd be happy to create some content that is specifically relevant to you and your dog that you may have or may want to have. So our show is going to be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. If that schedule changes, we will let you know. But that's what we have planned. And each week we're going to come up with a different theme, and we're going to put together 3 episodes that correlate with the theme of the week. So today what we wanted to start off with for our first week of these shows is we're going to be talking about some things that you should think about when you are figuring out which dog you're going to add to your family. So the reason why we're talking about this is because over the years working in various cities in Southern California and now up in Seattle, we have kind of figured out, we really thought in the beginning that the key to having a well-trained dog was to start training right away, right when you bring your dog home. But what we've learned over time through some experience is that actually the process really starts before you even get your dog. And there's a lot to think about when picking a dog to bring into your house. And when to get started with training, there's so many questions. So we have actually started providing a service where we help people pick out their dog initially. And then that way we're in even a better position to make sure that that dog is integrated as seamlessly as possible into your family. So that's what we're going to be talking about this week. I've got some notes down here, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. But this week, today we're going to be talking about if you should maybe select an adult dog or a puppy for your home. We're going to be talking about some of the pros and some of the cons to each age range. On Wednesday, we're going to be talking about what breed or mix might be best for your family and kind of how to figure that out. Kyle Kittleson will be doing that video. And on Friday, I'm going to be back and talk to you guys about some things to look for specifically when you go to a shelter or wherever it is that you're going to get your dog. Some stuff to look for that might help you decide which dog to pick. So today, like I said, we're going to be talking about if you should adopt an adult dog or if you should adopt a puppy. This is one of my favorite things to talk to people about because there's so much to consider and there's so much to think about. There are definitely pros and cons to each age group. It's really just kind of thinking about what your lifestyle is like and what you really have the time for and what you want, It's also a lot about what you want. So, first of all, we're going to talk about some disadvantages. So if you are considering bringing home an adult dog into your family, one of the disadvantages to that is that you're missing that initial socialization period. So when I talk about socialization, what I mean is it's basically a developmental thing. So all puppies, just like children and any baby of any species that you're talking about, there's a period of time when they're very young where they're kind of learning what the world around them consists of. So they're learning about what's safe, what's dangerous, what's fun, what's maybe not such a great idea. And so if you are bringing an adult dog into your home, unfortunately, you don't necessarily have the opportunity to craft what your puppy is socialized to. So it's not a deal breaker, but it might mean that you might have to spend a little bit more time kind of working with that adult dog to get them used to some things that they maybe haven't been exposed to before. So an example of that would be if you adopt a dog who's maybe 2 years old and they've never lived in a city, but you live in a high-rise apartment in an urban space. So that might mean that that dog has never seen a skateboard. Maybe they've never seen a garbage truck. Maybe they're not used to all the noise and all the stimulation. So it definitely doesn't mean that you should not get that dog, but it's just one of those things you want to consider. Do you really have the time to dedicate to make sure that they're integrated into that new space and new environment properly? The next thing that you might want to think about is they could potentially come to you with some bad habits already. So that's not necessarily, the greatest thing to think about. You don't want to even have to think that your dog is going to come to you with any sort of baggage. But just like any animal, you're a result of your environment. So if you have a dog and he comes from an environment that maybe had different rules than you would like to have in your household, that dog could come with some, not so great habits. Again, not a deal breaker, but just something to consider, that you're gonna have to take the time and potentially spend some money hiring a trainer to deal with that stuff. So it's just something to think about. The last disadvantage for bringing home a puppy or an adult dog, it's a little superficial, but you do miss that cute puppy phase. And I think that that's, a really fun age. It's so fun to see them when they're little. And, for some people that's not a big deal at all, but for others, it's something that's really important. So it's something to talk to your family about. Now, when you're talking about disadvantages of bringing home a puppy, there are a lot of those as well. I personally, after raising my dog, who's now 8, probably will never get another puppy, fingers crossed, knock on wood, ever again. It's just a lot of work, and for some people they love having puppies, but for me there were more disadvantages than advantages. But let's talk about some of that stuff. So just like I said, a disadvantage for getting an adult dog is missing that cute puppy phase. A disadvantage of having a puppy is having to work through that entire puppy phase. So that puppy phase has a lot of cute that comes with it, but it also has a lot of, kind of more obnoxious stuff. There's, a lot of time that you definitely have to dedicate to your puppy. They are into everything and you have to watch them all the time. And so, that's a lot of work, and not everybody is necessarily set up for that. The second disadvantage to potentially getting a puppy, and I think this is probably one of the biggest things to think about, is they can't be left alone for too long. So if you, kind of the rule of thumb that vets and a lot of trainers will kind of give you as a guideline is, if you have a puppy, they can be left alone for 1 hour of each month that they've been alive. Not forever, so that doesn't mean if you have a dog that's 2, you can leave them alone for 24 hours. But up until probably between 6 and 8 months, that's kind of a good rule of thumb. So if you have a 2-month-old puppy, you really don't want to leave them alone for longer than 2 hours. If you have a 3-month-old puppy, you really don't want to leave them alone for more than 3 hours. And the reason for that is just because they're an infant. So that means that they're going to put things in their mouth that they shouldn't. It means that they are not psychologically really ready to be left alone that long. It can cause a lot of stress and anxiety for them. And also if you're doing any sort of potty training, that can be a huge problem. So if you work full-time, you might want to consider getting an older puppy or an adult dog, because it really, really is not a good idea to get a young puppy and leave them alone for hours and hours at a time. Not only will their training suffer, but they actually can have some psychological side effects to that are really, really tricky to deal with in the future and not nice. So that's really important. Then number 3 kind of touches back on number 1. I mean, basically you have an infant and you are taking on the role of mom or dad or parent, and that's a big responsibility. You have to teach them everything. You're teaching them how to interact with the world around them. You're teaching them what can go in their mouth and what cannot. You're teaching them how to have good bite inhibition, which means teaching them how to use those jaws properly in regards to skin of other dogs, of people, anything else in your house that might have skin. And, there's a lot, they're going to be up during the night, and it's a lot of work. When you're home with them, you really have to keep an eye on them all the time. So it's definitely not for the faint of heart. Puppies are not for everyone. So now let's talk about some of the fun stuff, some of the advantages. If you are considering bringing home a puppy, one of the great advantages to that is you're kind of, in most cases, starting with a clean slate. So you're starting with a puppy that has no history, and you can kind of, with some, kind of boundaries, obviously, with their genetics and early experiences that they've had, you can kind of mold them into, the kind of dog that you'd like to have. So there's a lot of great training opportunities there. Training them will take less time, and it will move along more quickly, just because you're not dealing with past reinforcement history. And you know, there's a lot of perks to that. They're going to be a lot more open to new experiences for the most part, and that can be really, really fun to kind of show them the world around them. It's really, really fun. The second advantage is, oh my gosh, they're so cute. I remember just like when Kai, my dog, was a puppy, just watching him sleep. Like I have so many pictures of him just sleeping because he was just so cute when he would sleep. That was when he was the cutest, actually, because he was quiet. But yeah, they're really, really cute, and it really is a special experience to raise a baby of any species. It's a, you know, for a lot of us, it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing or twice-in-a-lifetime thing, and it's something that you never forget. So if you're ready for it and you're in a good position to do it, it's definitely something that will change your life for sure. In good ways and in bad. And you know, number 3, it's a really incredible thing to bring a puppy into your life and to give them a forever home. So making sure that they don't have to be one of those dogs that's kind of passed around from place to place. It's a really rewarding thing to do. So it's definitely a lot of fun, and there's a lot of benefits to that. Getting an adult dog, one of the biggest benefits is you don't have to deal with puppy stuff. So if you're lucky, then you might have a jump on potty training, you might have a jump on some stuff like leash manners. Hopefully they've learned how to play properly, and they don't have as much energy. So they tire out a lot faster and they sleep a lot better. So that's definitely a nice thing that you get to experience. Number 2, they're just as cute. Honestly, I probably think Kai is cuter now than I did when he was little, just because he's easier to deal with. So I think I appreciate him a little bit more. But yeah, adult dogs are just as cute as puppies. So don't even worry about that. And number 3, if you're bringing home an adult dog, especially from a shelter or a rescue situation, you're saving their life. And that's a really incredible thing, and we definitely want to encourage as many people to do that as possibly can. So that's pretty much all I have for you today. Obviously, there's a lot more to learn on this subject. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this video has been helpful to you and has given you some great stuff to think about. Please check out our website for more training tips, www.tullystraining.com. We have a blog on there, and we have some great resources, so check that out. Also, you can go ahead and sign up for a free consultation with one of our expert trainers, whether you have a dog now or whether you are thinking of getting one. Our consult is absolutely free. We cover Southern California and also Seattle in person, and we do Skype training all over the world. So no matter where you live, you can sign up for that free consultation. Be sure to tune in on Wednesday to hear what Kyle has to say about what type of breed you should, or mixed dog you should look for, and some of the benefits and things to think about with that. And I'm Mary Tully from Tully's Training, and thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you again.